Hello and welcome to a new Google Sheet project in Practical Sheets. Today we're going to create a custom PDF system where we can send custom PDFs to a list of students, of customers, or any list of contacts you may have in Google Sheets. So we're going to create two custom menus where I can send to each of these rows. I can stand in any row and send a report to this row. So for example, if I stand here and do send report of current row in our email, I can see that I've sent to this particular student a custom message with a PDF that is again customly named for her. And the most important thing is that inside we have custom information of this specific student. And we're going to create all of this from a template we create in Google Docs. And most importantly is that we can send reports to all the students. So it's going to go first with this and do what we did for Rita, but only for George, then for Sophia, then for Mark, and create a personalized email and a personalized PDF. So here do it for 4, but this code will work for 10, 20, or how many students you have. And here you can see that it has sent it to all of these with its custom PDF. This is it. This is what we're going to do. I know you love it, but before starting, I'll invite you to go to my practicalsheets.com site, where if you subscribe, you'll find the templates for all of my videos and exclusive courses, or you can just go to the Patreon page and support me there. If not, you can just enjoy this free content in the YouTube channel, subscribing to it. So let's continue with the video. So how we're going to handle this is we're going to start with the smallest viable function and then start going from there, getting bigger and bigger. The first thing I'm going to do is to send an email to one specific user from this table. For example, this row 2, George. I'm going to send a basic email. Then I'm going to send an email with a PDF attachment that comes from a template I'm going to create. And finally, I'm going to extend this to be able to send with just one button an email for each of the students. Okay? So let's begin. Let's call this project Sending Custom PDFs. I'm not going to name the function just yet. Let's begin with the basic method for sending emails. That's it. That is Gmail app dot send email. So we're going to send an email to anyone. I'm going to put a subject and then a message. Let's try it out. Let's go to a Gmail to test. Here in send emails, I can see there is a text message. Okay, so first part, I was able to send an email. Now I want to take it one step forward. First, I want to send this to a specific user, a specific variable that I sent from here. So in this case, it will be pretty easy. I will only need this B2 cell. So how do I connect to this B2 cell? I always like to go step by step. So first, let's connect with our book or our spreadsheet with spreadsheet app dot get active spreadsheet. We're going to call this, or its common notation if you look for codes on the web, to call this SS. Okay? Spread as in a spreadsheet, but you can call it however you want. The important thing is that it means something, that you immediately know what SS means. If you want to call this spreadsheet, then that's okay too. Then the next thing we're going to do is connect with a specific worksheet. So let's call this worksheet again to be a bit more descriptive in our variable names. And spreadsheet worksheet will be spreadsheet.getSheet by name. And the name will be the name of my sheet. I can call this however I want. Let's call this students. And finally, we're going to get my email. So this will be email, will be my worksheet, let's go to a specific range. In this case, my range will be B2. There are many ways of defining the range. We may change this further along the video. And now we have the variable. We can replace this here by email. And it should continue to work. So let's save and let's run. Now I need some permissions because I'm connecting with my Google Sheet. I have one error, and the error is that here, when I choose a range, here I'm selecting a range, but not a value. In order to select a value, I need to go a bit further and use this method, getValue, because now this is the name, the number, whatever. Again, save and run. This is why I like to go in incremental steps and test in every part of the way. Let's go again. Here it's sent. And I have my second message that's exactly the same, but connecting to my sheet. Now I want this to get a bit more customized. How can I do this? In a number of ways. Let's get the name, for example. So let's set this variable name, and we will do it exactly the same as we did the email. So it will be worksheet dot get range, and we could do, instead of B2, we could say A2, but I'm going to do it a bit different. I'm going to define this by the row and the column. In this case, is row number 2, column number 1. So I could do here row number 2 and column number 1. And again, getValue is exactly the same as this, but in other type of notation. Finally, maybe I can do a test message where I include the name. For example, I can do here variable message, and we can say hello. And here with this plus sign, I could append or concatenate one of the variables I have here. So hello 1, thanks for joining. And I could do the same for the subject or something similar. This could be welcome 1. So welcome plus name. And here I will replace this test by the variable subject and this test message by the variable message. Again, let's save, run once again. And here in send, I have a bit more personalized message. Welcome George, hello George, thanks for joining. Now, I want to be able to append a file. And in this case, a specific file I have. So we're going to create it. So first, let's do something we could have done at the beginning. This is create a folder specifically for our project. So the new folder will be custom PDF. And here we're going to create a Google Doc. Let's call this certificate template. And here we're going to say name of the student, name of the course, and let's say this is a certificate from Practical Sheets for the enrollment and completion of an online course, whatever. And here, Sebastian, Practical Sheets. Okay, very simple. I don't want anything else for now. Then we could add some images and a table and whatever. But for now, let's do it like this. George and course enrolled inventory. That's it. Then you can do a much more detailed and better template. But for now, I just want this to work. So in order to maintain this well, I'm going to move this to this recently created folder. Okay, so I have everything in my project here. So I'm going to do 2 steps. I'm going to convert this Google Doc to a PDF, and then I'm going to send it. So the first thing I'm going to need is the ID of this Google Doc. That is this thing after the D/ and before the /edit. Copy it, and here above, I'm going to connect to this file. So let's call this template file ID, and we're going to store it inside quotation marks. Can do a bit of zoom out, looks better. And with this file ID, I could create a PDF pretty easily. I'm just going to do drive up dot get file by ID. This temp file ID, I'm going to open it with Google Drive, and then I'm going to get the blob. The blob is a specific kind of raw file that normally can be easily converted to PDF. So I have my blob, and let's see if only with this blob I can already attach it as a PDF. So to attach a file, I'm going to do comma here in my send email function, put some brackets, and add this option attachments. Attachments receive an array. In this case, it's going to be an array of just one element, and the element will be this blob. Let's see if this works. I'm going to run. I need further permissions now for Drive. Let's see. So now it did work. So now, other than my message, I have the PDF from my Google Docs. Okay, again, so we're walking step by step just to show you all the process and what is the thing we are doing. This works fine if what we want to export is the same document all the time. So there are a couple of things we can leave out of this function. Okay, we're going to move all these 3 lines here because there are this is what is called global variables. This is things we can use in many of our functions. Okay, we're going to call this function send email, and remember that I told you that this and this was the same. Okay, it is more or less the same, but it depending on what you want to do in the future, one works better than the other. In this case, we're going to leave this notation, row and then column, and here we're going to do the same. Row is number 2 for the email, and column is number 2. And we're going to change this to by this name row. And in this function, we're going to receive a row argument. Okay, so we're going to create 2 new functions. The first one is going to be called send to this row, and we're just going to check in which row are we and call this function for that row. This is pretty easy. We're just going to do spreadsheet up dot get active range, and then we're going to choose the row or look at the row where the user is standing. We're going to call this active row, and then we're going to call our send email function with this active row, and it should work. Let's save again and let's run again. Okay, let's see here, and I've sent to Mark, and let's double check that here I'm sending the PDF. So I'm not customizing yet the PDF. We're going to do that in a couple of minutes. So, but what I wanted to do is to do this other function where I'm going to send to every student. Send to all. So here I showed you that once we did this function, then this function we could call it inside another function. So first I called it in this send to this row. Now we're going to call it in this send to all. There are a couple of ways of doing it. One of the easiest one of the most common is using a loop, and one of the most basic loops is the for loop. So given that I've already have as a global variable my spreadsheet and my worksheet, then the only thing I need to do is do for, and let's initialize any variable. It's normally called I, but you can call it whatever you want. But I'm going to start here in my row 2 and then go up to the last row I have. So let's say we're going to start in 2 and we're going to go up until I is less or equal to the last row I find. And the last row can be found with this method, worksheet dot get last row. Finally, I'm going to say that I'm going to move 1 by 1 with this I++. And that's it. Maybe I could change this I to row. so it's easy to understand that I'm going to send an email to each row. And that's it. Let's save. And let's send to all. If it's taking a while, it may be a good sign. Let's go here. Let's go to our sent. Refresh. And I'm seeing here that at 5:09, I've sent 4 emails. One to George, one to Sophia, one to Mark, and one to Rita. Okay? Excellent. So now I repeat, if all you ever wanted was to send the same Google Doc as a PDF to all your customers or students, then you can leave now. If you want to further customize, then we're missing some part, and is how we take this template and customize it. I'm sure there are a lot of ways. One way I've done it in the past, and I like to do it, is by assigning some variables inside my template. So instead of doing George, I can use an identifier that can be double asterisk, then can be double slash, or that could be sometimes double brackets. The double part is just to make sure that there is nothing in the document that has something resembling to a double bracket. It is very unlikely that in a text document you'll find a double bracket or a double asterisk or maybe a double less than and greater than. So the idea is to enclose it in any set of characters you think works. It could be double parentheses or whatever. Okay, so here it will be name, and then we could put it in caps again, just to be very clear that these are variables. And here, the same. I'm going to put inside less than and greater than symbol. Let's put here our curse. Okay, so here is where it will change a bit. So now when I'm going to send the email, I need to do a couple of things before. So the first thing is I'm going to open the file, but this is not the file I'm going to send as I did here. So I need to separate this in multiple lines because I'm going to get it, but I need to make a copy of it. So let's separate this. I just need this file just to make a copy. So I'm going to get the file and then use this make copy method. And then I'm going to save this in. And now this is my file. Let's call this file. So now I'm going to do the blob for this file. Let's save and just test that everything is working. And now we can see here, we're going to see here that it's going to make a copy. And this is the file it's going to use to create a PDF and send it. So let's save. Oh, I should have sent just one, okay? It's taking a bit longer because it's making, each time it's making a copy, then creating the PDF and then sending the email. So what I wanted to show you first is that this continues to work. So I sent another 4 emails, and secondly, that it created a copy. So what I can do with this copy is first put a name on it. So here in make copy, I have the possibility of putting a name. So the name could be the name of the student. It's the most easiest thing, but you could make it more complex with some codes and the email and the date, whatever. But now, important thing is how do I change these variables for the real name and the real course. So first, let's get our course. This will be worksheet.getRange in the current row, and I think it's column number 3. Let's get the value. And here, once we get the file, what I need from this file is the ID. So I'm going to do file.getID. Why do I need the ID? Because now I'm going to open this ID, but with the Doc app. The document app will let me do modifications to the Google Doc. So we're talking about 2 things. One is the file for Google Drive purposes, for copying, for pasting, for creating PDFs. And the other one is the Google Doc file or the Google Doc document, which will allow me to modify the text or the images or the content in my document. So we're going to talk about file and then about document. So let's call this document. It will be document app, open by ID, and the ID is this one. And now I can do some modifications to the document. So document dot, we're going to get the body, and in this body, we're going to replace the text. What text are we going to replace? This text, this name, and then this curse. So let's start with this name. We're going to replace this, but I need to put it in quotation marks. This name, I'm going to replace it with my variable name. And then we can do again document dot with body, replace text, but now let's change this or replace this course with my variable course. Now we're going to close the document. We know that Google Docs and Google Sheets save automatically, but given that we are doing a script, we need to tell it when to save. So let's do this save and close. So the script knows that we are saving these changes. And now, once we save these changes, this file I've created before will be updated with the changes. And now we can send our email. Okay? So let's save. And it should work. Let's see. Let's create a specific email for this Sophia. So let's send to the row Sophia. And again, we need to change the permissions because now we're connecting to our Google Doc. So let's see. Here it's Sophia. I just sent it with a PDF that is called sophia.pdf. And if I go inside, it says Sophia. And the course that Sophia enrolled, that is this help desk. Okay, so that's it. It looks really good. So now the last thing I'm going to do is create a menu where we can do send to the row or send to all. So first, let's connect to our user interface with this get UI. Then create a menu that will be called send reports or reports. And finally, let's create some items. Let's add first the item of sending to the custom row, to the current row. And this will call our function send to this row. I'm going to select this function, put it inside quotation marks. And let's create the other item and call it send reports to all students. And here we're going to call the send to all function. Let's select it and put it inside again of quotation marks. And finally, we're going to add this to the UI. So let's save and let's run this and open. We're simulating when the file, this file is refreshed, and we're going to see these reports. We already tested one basic one, but let's test it again. Let's test this reader, send report of the current row. Okay, so let's go back here, refresh. Here I have Rita, and the PDF is called Rita and is the data from Rita. Now, finally, let's call this report to all students. And let's see here, let's refresh. And here we have 4 new emails. George is sending a PDF to George. And then Sophia, its own PDF, and Mark, its own PDF, and Rita, its own PDF. So it looks good. There are a lot of things we could do to enhance this, and this we're going to do in other videos, where we can put here if it was sent. You can see that here we are creating the Google Doc, but we are not creating the PDF. Sometimes you may want to create a PDF. Sometimes maybe you want to delete these other docs. Maybe you want to maintain these other docs. Let's put a name to these other docs. There are a lot of other things we can do, but for now it works really, really well. And here I'm doing it for 5, but it should work for 10, 20, 100. Okay? So I hope you liked it. And if you like it, you can subscribe to the channel. You'll find a new Google Sheet video project each week. And further on, you can go to practicalsheets.com, where if you subscribe, you can find the templates for all my videos, but exclusive Google Sheets, Google Forms, and Google Apps Script courses. If you don't want something so elaborate, then you can just go to my Patreon page and support me there. Thank you so much. See you next time.